Hello and welcome to another episode of the Blockbuster Guys. Today we're looking back at 1983's The Return of Captain Invincible. It's a action, comedy, sci-fi, superhero musical of the type that you just don't see enough of.
Captain Invincible, superhero in World War II, gets accused of stuff by the American government and flees off into the Wild West to never be seen again. His arch nemesis comes back to try and destroy the world or take over the world or something like that. Anyway, it's hard to tell with all the dancing going on sometimes in this movie.
Yeah, well, it's sort of a play on the whole House of Un-American Activities and the McCarthy witch hunts of the sort of 1950s, with Captain Invincible being accused of communist sympathies, and in the most spurious ways possible. It's like they bring up that he helped Stalin during the Second World War by killing Nazis. And they have a go at him for having a red cape because red is the colour of communist Russia, forgetting, of course, that it's also part of the American flag. So it's stuff along those lines which causes him to become disillusioned and basically put himself in exile and turn to alcoholism as a way to cope with the rejection.
I never heard of this movie before you mentioned it to me, I have to say. Never heard of it before. I had a great time watching it. It's bad in the worst kind of ways. In an enjoyable kind of way. Like it kind of the main actors in this movie, which we'll get to right now because this is important to know. This movie was made in Australia, right?
Yeah.
Australian made. Uh, you'll know nobody in this cast except for two people, the most important people: Captain Invincible, who is Alan Arkin, and Mr. Midnight, who is Sir Christopher Lee. Thank you very much. Um, Hamming it up in the greatest possible way.
And yeah, was it was it the first time Christopher Lee sings?
In a movie, probably, yeah. I mean, you never
Well,
know what
even,
he did back in the day, but yeah.
well,
You,
even with the because I know he obviously released albums, but
oh yeah, he's a
they were sort
big,
of in the 90s.
more of a heavy metal, hard metal,
Yeah,
Icelandic death metal kind of situation going on.
I mean it's kind of it's kind of unique because you go like the basic idea of being, well, it's a superhero film and it's a musical, and you go, oh yeah, well, that's pretty, you know something that you come up with now, but then you go, oh no, this was 1983.
Yeah,
There'd been Superman, and there'd been like a couple of like TV movie type things, I think.
I think yeah, Captain America had one.
Yeah,
The Hulk
I'm not
probably
sure
was
if
going
the
on at this point. I would
I'm not sure if
imagine.
the Japanese Spider-Man had been out at that point, but it's still relatively sort of fresh. So the idea of doing a musical of it, because originally it wasn't supposed to be a musical. It was written as a straight sort of superhero action film, but it was the director just for some reason always wanted to make a musical and thought, well, this would work.
And it kind of does. It kind of does. So the thing that mentioned about the music in this, because again, it's a superhero musical movie from 1983. Um, is some of the songs, not all of the songs, but some of the songs are written by the two guys who wrote the music for the Rocky Horror Picture Show, Richard O'Brien and Richard Hartley. So they wrote a number of the songs for this. And when you're watching the movie, it is fairly obvious which ones are theirs and which ones
Yeah,
are written by someone else. Not to say that they're the other songs are terrible or whatever. It's just that you can tell with the songs, the choreography, the costumes, the time. Like they very much, when it was their songs, they went, let's give this a bit of a Rocky Horror twist to it. Whereas the other songs didn't feel that way. They felt a bit just very bog standard musical numbers for a movie. But those ones definitely felt unique within the structure of the movie, which is also interesting because you've got that's like it's almost like two musicals within one sci-fi movie because you got the two different types of songs going on. One's more uh, out there, outrageous, Rocky Horror with people in costumes and dancing around and stuff, and then the other ones are a bit more um, plot progression songs.
yeah,
There's one early on which is very much a like who's gonna save us now kind of song, or like what are we gonna do now kind of song. There's a couple of those going on. Um, whereas the Rocky Horror type ones feel more like numbers.
Well, that's the thing as well, because it's pretty much ahead of its time in many ways. Just in the basic premise that you've got Captain Invincible, who's, is it like the man of magnets, and he has
He
quite a couple
flies.
of nicknames, yeah. But
Yeah.
he's your archetypal superhero character, very much a sort of Superman crossed with Captain America. He's the Boy Scout. You see him signing autographs, and you've got the sort of almost like Cub Scout group kind of thing. And then you get the idea that you get government persecution come in,
Mm-hmm.
which sort of predates Marvel's Civil War and the especially in the movies with the Accords and everything else and superhero registration, and it's essentially harkening back to the McCarthy witch hunts.
Yeah.
He's accused of basically being a communist, not having American values at heart. So he descends into alcoholism and flees, and for
Yeah.
some reason ends up in Western Australia.
Hello, America. This is Michael Lang reporting from Australia, where the wayward American Skylab space station has come to a fiery end. With me now is one of the locals. Sir, did you see Skylab when it fell?
Yes, I did.
You did. Would you mind...
I was flying through the air, and this enormous object came hurling at me at great speed.
Thank you very
I
much.
attempted to catch it,
Catch it. Yes, good work, sir.
but
Thank
it was going with such great speed
Yes, sir. Thank you.
that it threw me violently to the earth.
Thank you very much.
And I was
And that's
in
all
the
from
police.
Australia. This is Michael Lang signing off.
But then you've got you've got the joke of he thinks he's in New York and wonders why the rats were so big, because it's kangaroos. But and then you've got the return of Mr. Midnight. So it's the comeback story, crossed a little bit with sort of a Rocky, with the fact that he's got to get back into shape. He's got to
Fighting shape.
Yeah, and almost sort of relearn to be a superhero again after spending decades as an alcoholic.
Yeah.
By the way, I hope you're feeling hungry because the woman's buying.
Oh, yeah? Okay, how about a steak at Jack Dempsey's?
Where?
Or Lindy's, Listen, this is a stupid question, but where the hell are we? Is this Wall Street? Where is this?
Sydney. Sydney, Australia.
Australia! That's where I've been all these years, I knew everything looked different, but I thought it was the booze.
It is a comedy, it is a musical, but it does have a solid central plot.
It does also, I feel, it doesn't play the alcoholism for laughs, as you might expect in an 80s movie. In an 80s movie, now my mind's going to go blank when we're recording. The Dudley film. Alfie? Oh, no, that's Michael Caine.
Arthur.
Arthur.
Yeah.
It's him being like a man-child drunk is played for laughs. That kind of, Whereas in this movie, the fact that he's, struggling to recover from alcoholism is like, it happens a couple of times in the movie where that's just his part of his struggle, his growth, his way of, I'm back to being Captain Invincible now, is getting past those moments, which I thought was, and they also called back to certain things earlier in the movie, and then brought it back later on to kind of resolve situations, and that's all. I always love a little bit of foreshadowing going on, sprinkle some foreshadowing going in early on in the film, and I'm quite happy when it gets resolved later on. But always resolve it. Don't leave your foreshadowing unresolved. Right? Chekhov's gun.
But it also, it's a film that also has some sort of genius levels of idiocy.
Can I help you?
Yeah. Like a pastrami and a corned beef, please.
Right.
Both on rye. And, anything else, honey?
A pint of coleslaw and a half a pound of Nova.
Coming up.
Yeah, and some Archer's herring and little halava and some information about Mr. Midnight.
Mr. Who?
You heard me.
Captain.
Listen to me, buddy. I've been in the shop 20 years. I ain't never heard of Mr. Midnight or Or moonlight or whatever.
Yes? Then why are you putting mayonnaise on a corned beef sandwich?
Be with you in a minute. Gefilte fish.
Hit the dirt!
It's like there's I mean, famously, there's a fight against some vacuum cleaners, and the story goes that initially Alan Arkin wasn't cast as Captain Invincible. It was James Coburn, and because he wanted to work with the director, and apparently that was the split. James Coburn just couldn't understand this fight scene with some vacuum cleaners and wanted it cut from the film, and the director was like, no, that's key to the movie. So yeah, he walked, Alan Arkin comes in and obviously had no problem with the vacuum cleaners. So
Imagine having that conversation.
yeah.
No, the vacuum cleaners are integral to the core of this movie. It's their plot mechanic is important to how this movie transitions to the final verse. You can't just get rid of the vacuum cleaners.
But I
He's
think that's one of the things with it. It gets the balance so well, because it's like the whole thing of, the alcoholism isn't played for laughs. And it's like, well, no, because when you watch the movie, you really couldn't play it for laughs. Otherwise, when you get to the bit with Mr. Midnight and you've got the whole song of Pick Your Poison, that wouldn't land properly.
yeah.
Because the whole point is he's supposed to be enticing him back into, the fall. And that has an emotional resonance to it that just wouldn't be there if that had been played as a joke.
No, definitely, and we're saying that it was made in Australia, and there's really only you're not going to know anyone. Two people are the main people for this movie. The rest of the cast does a good job of carrying the movie that the scenes are in. They're not. It's not a bad cast, a bad group of people making this movie, but you can tell there is a bit of a difference between Arkin and Christopher Lee being these big style actors in the early 80s going into the 90s, 2000s. These guys carried their careers going forward internationally.
Guy, that outfit, it can't be.
But it is. After all these years, it is. I knew that Captain Invincible was beaten, broken, a drunken clown. And content with the pleasure that knowledge gave me, I foolishly stayed my hand.
All I know is they're getting too close for comfort.
Calm yourself. The only thing that they're getting close to is the grave.
And I'm sure that I haven't checked, but I'm sure that a lot of those guys probably had great careers in Australia as actors. And it was a good, as I said, it didn't seem to me like it was Alan Arkin, Christopher Lee, and let's get a bunch of people off the street that filled the cast out. It was Alan Arkin, Christopher Lee, and professional Australian actors, and a couple Americans, because there's a president of the United States in the movie, and a bunch of kids.
Well, certainly not your routine robbery, but I still don't see why it poses a threat to national security.
The giggle gun was clearly used.
What the hell is a giggle gun?
It's what they use to interdict the solemnity of the men here, sir.
What?
Make them laugh, sir.
Oh.
And it was used to steal the,
Not the hypno-ray.
I'm afraid so, Mr. President.
Well, gentlemen, just how serious is that?
Pretty damn serious.
So if you got early scenes where it's a bit more of a, it's like a bit more of a homage to the old serials from back in the day, like the war serials, and like today in the news, this is what happened. And you watch it before the movie, and they had a couple of things like that for World War II early on.
Yeah, I think it's a play on those old Pathé newsreels you used to get before the main feature in the cinema, before television news sort of took over, where it's half sort of news and half propaganda. But yeah, it was definitely a bold choice to start the movie with a 7.5 minute sort of piece in that style, just fitting in the backstory of Captain Invincible, the Senate hearings, his sort of exile, and sort of taking you up to the main title sequence.
But no, I thought overall, it's a fun movie. It's only an hour and a half long, so it's not a very long movie, especially today's consideration for how long movies can be. 1983 release, good cast,
And
fun songs.
considering the budget, the
Yeah,
production values are actually pretty decent.
5 million budget in '83. Even then, that's not huge. Even for
No.
'83, there's a lot of movies that are much higher budgets than that. But they use their money well, obviously, because even like the scenes where he's, flying, because he's a superhero who can fly, as they all were, obviously, back then. Easier to transport them around to different locations. But it wasn't like really, really obvious that it was like fake. It wasn't because there's no CGI back then. Obviously, there's no CGI. There's no computer generated graphics. There's no way to fake it. You've got to figure it out. The director, the scene, the cinematographer, the AD, everybody on the set, they got to figure out how we're going to make this guy fly and not have it break that suspension of disbelief. And they do a decent job of all that kind of stuff, trying to make the superhero powers look reasonable, look like they are actually powers he's got. The magnetism, that comes into play a couple times. They use decent special effects to try and showcase that he's different from everyone else in that way.
I'm sorry, but I have to tell you the truth about things that have changed.
Things haven't changed, Patty. People have changed. People in the whole damn country. It's lost something. It's lost something vital, like honesty and pride, integrity, and a sense of the future. I tell you, when that happens to a country goes right into the gutter.
The reason that it didn't do so well in America, apart from the fact that in 1983 you would question the commercial viability of a superhero musical about an unknown superhero, but it's also, I believe, the biggest issue was that the American distributor that they had for the film went bankrupt about a week or so before the film was due to release in America.
That would definitely make a difference.
Yeah, I think in Australia it was delayed for about a year. So obviously that didn't help either. So you had a lot of, extraneous things going on that sort of negatively impacted the film, which is a shame because, certainly it's probably not the greatest film of 1983, but it's a long way from being the worst.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm sure we could address that at some point.
Yeah.
I will say that at the time of recording of this video, it is available to watch on streaming services in the US. Not sure about it within other countries. But,
Amazon Prime over here at the moment.
So it's still currently is out there. It's something you can watch, and we would recommend doing so because this is it's a fun movie. It's a fun hour and a half. If you like musicals, if you like Rocky Horror Picture Show, if you like superhero movies, if you like goofy comedies.
You like Christopher Lee singing?
Christopher Lee being Christopher Lee, Alan Arkin movies. If you like, goofy action flicks. If you like, bad movies. I mean, not bad like this movie is terrible, but it's like it's not the best movie. The cast is okay. It's just a bit of an odd one with all the different ideas behind it, but it's fun. So I would definitely recommend giving this a shot because just a fun movie to watch.